one.
Well, welcome, Kelly. Thanks for joining me here today.
Hi, Amy.
Hey, I'm here with Kelly McCausey, and she's going to be sharing some exciting tips, strategies, fun stuff about working with rebrandable content. And the reason I wanted to talk about this with Kelly today is not only does she create and sell a lot of rebrandable content, but she's also a real expert at building a community as well. And that's one of the things I wanted to ask you about is I know, especially when people are newer or getting started, they're excited, they want to get out there. A lot of times they want to use rebrandable content or PLR content, but they also need to make, sure that they can make it their own and not be too cookie cutter. So I don't know if you had any, tips or ideas for how people can use PLR content, but still make it their own and make sure that they're connecting with people in an authentic way.
You bet. So you have a perspective. If you're publishing content on a particular topic, it's because you have an interest in the topic yourself. And so put yourself in the shoes of being a curious enthusiast for your market and add your own perspective, even if it's to pepper in some curious questions or to share a personal story or to question something about the topic that makes you a little crazy. One mistake I see people make, especially when they're using PLR, is that they feel like if they change anything about the article that they're making a mistake, that they're messing something up. And it's your blog, it's your mailing list, it's your community that you're serving. You're not going to mess anything up. Add your own personality to it. Disagreeing with the content now and then, so let's say there's a paragraph in the article that says, roses are red, and you want to say, you know what? Roses aren't always red. Roses are all kinds of beautiful colors, and the world needs that. That's a silly example, but that introduces your perspective and personality into the mix, and it makes the content more engaging. So just don't be afraid to play with it and add your own opinions.
For sure. I think that is an example, even if it's silly. And I was thinking when you were talking about this, about how a lot of times great content is sort of broken out into sections or chunks or bullet points,
yeah,
which does make it easy because then you could add in your own intro or your own conclusion or both. And then, or you could have like a bullet point and then you could talk about it in more detail, give screenshots, things like that.
Yeah.
I think is cool.
The brandable content using PLR, I have taken PLR. I bought a small report from my friends, our friends, Tracy and Susanna over at Piggy Makes Bank. And I turned it into a product. I took a report and I rewrote it and then I recorded an audio to go with it because that's more, my people are used to receiving audio content from me. And I took the article and I just made it completely my own. To say I rewrote it isn't like the most accurate term because it's not like I changed a bunch of their words. I just took some stuff out. An example I would never use, it doesn't fit my target market. I pop it out and I pop in an example that does apply to my target market. And I share a little story and I rant a little about, why this topic is so important. And then by the time I have put like a pre-roll page about me in there and a closing call to action, my own logo and all of that, it becomes unrecognizable as PLR.
Right. And those are some great ways. I like the idea of having kind of a rant or a discussion. Mm-hmm. Those are fun and they have emotion and they get people involved. So I think that could be good.
Yeah.
that in there. And then, like you said too, taking out stuff. I know sometimes that I'll often do that too, or I'll combine maybe a couple of different things if it's on the same topic, but I'll also streamline it a little bit, like, for example, there might be something that goes into not a lot of detail, but it's good. And then maybe there's something else that's more specific, or again, has screenshots, and then I'll combine them and then, add in some of my stuff too. So that's great.
Yeah, PLR does not have to be difficult to use. And if you remember, it's funny. So the silly idea that just popped into my head is parenting. Like, there's no one right way to parent. There's no one right way to raise pets. There are books out there that would like us to believe that there are. But when it comes down to it, you have a relationship with your child, you have a relationship with your pet, and you creatively initiate that relationship and communicate the way that you want to. And the same thing is true of your audience. Just because you're starting with PLR, still remember you're the person communicating with this audience. You get to say what you want to say. You get to create what you want to create, whether you're starting from scratch or starting with PLR. So dig in there and make it all yours.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I do think sometimes there's sort of a fear around using, PLR. But one of the things is that PLR is really designed to be used. It doesn't have a lot of fluff in it usually. So it's there for you to take it and make it more of your own, to add to it, subtract to it, change it into a different format. And it doesn't mean either that, you're not an expert or you're not able to connect with people just because you're putting together something that's already out there, because again, you're putting your own stamp on it, and you're the only one that can communicate with your audience in that specific way. With that. So
over at White Label Perks, you mentioned a lot of PLR creators try to create content that's pretty generic. Doesn't lean strong in one direction or another. And we don't do that at White Label Perks. I don't write the content, but I have the ideas for the content, and I work with the writer to outline the content. And so I put a spin on it. It has a perspective. It is more a lively content because of it, in my opinion. And there are a few PLR providers out there that are like that. Piggy Makes Bank is very much like that. Susanna is plotting out that content, and she has a perspective on this stuff, and it comes through, not to the level of like you would know it's written by Susanna. It's not like she's going to reference her life or anything, but there's a little more personality in it. So it really does help when you're out there shopping for a PLR that you get to know the styles of the PLR creators, so that you can choose PLR that feels more in line with the way that you communicate. And then, like, still with White Label Perks, I know people who have taken that content and used it completely unwritten and received marvelous compliments from people about how they love that they put a little bit of themselves into their content. And it cracks me up. But hey, just say thank you.
That's great. And those are great examples. I know too, one thing I like, and I know White Label Perks offers, and some other places do too, is sort of having different types of PLR. I know, for example, your hand-doodled frames are very popular with my audience, and just having templates, artwork, worksheet type style stuff, journal stuff. I think I am enjoying seeing a lot of that come out, because it gives us so much freedom and flexibility to use that. And while I think written content is great, I'm really happy to see that there's more out there and branching out there a lot more.
Yeah. I I would never publish content without an image to go with it. So we don't release content without images.
Yeah, I think that's great. I know I also like Alice Seba's, she has a lot of screenshots and bullet points and
Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
list magnets and stuff. And I like that style because I think it lends itself well to, teaching, training, tutorials, products, things along those lines.
Yeah.
So I kind of sort of put out there to our audience, what's holding you back from using PLR or rebrandable content? Because you can use it with social media, you can use it on your blog, you can use it in email. You can't really take it as is and publish to Kindle or Amazon, but there's so many other ways you can do it to support yourself. So I would say as a challenge there to identify a piece of PLR that you can use this week to to help build your audience and to put some of yourself into it, following Kelly's tips as well.
Yes.
So Kelly, I know you have white label perks, but I also know you also do some other things and working on events. So what do you have coming up for us?
Well, the next event I have is Exposure and Profit. It's coming up in Atlanta in August. It's a 3-day event, the 10th, 11th, and 12th. I have 14 speakers, and it's a single track event. So we're in one room, and so you hear all of the speakers. And the theme of Exposure and Profit is community building and content marketing always. That's the underlying thread of everything that I do. But this year I've asked all my speakers to loop in that perfect target market component. How does what they do, how does what they're speaking about tie in to finding and creating a relationship with that perfect target market, that perfect client, that perfect reader? It's so important. I'm so excited about it. It's getting close.
Yeah, that sounds really exciting. And I know a lot of great people are going to be there. And I will also say, having, been to and involved with events that you've been doing, they're always a lot of fun, and you're a great facilitator. And I know it's going to be a blast. So I'm really glad you shared that with us.
Thank you.
So I hope everyone will check out Kelly's event information. And I want to thank you for coming on and chatting with me today. And really look forward to your event, and then also upcoming events you'll have as well, and also what you'll be sharing with us over at White Label Perks. So thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Thanks, Amy.